Hazel had fallen at school one morning and she hit her lip and it was bleeding quite a bit. So my first plan was to take her into the pediatric dentist. He took a look at it and said, "Does she have a bleeding disorder?" We ended up being admitted for a couple nights. They did a lot of testing. And that's when the initial test came back that her factor 10 deficiency was extremely low. As I look back over the course of the 6 years where we didn't know that she had factor 10 deficiency, one of the biggest red flags was these swollen ankles that would swell up, and there was so much pain and so much bruising where she would get to the point where she wouldn't even want to walk on it. We would end up having to push her in a stroller all day. You know, she was probably the only 5-year-old in a stroller. When we would go into the doctor for what were joint bleeds, they would almost assume that it was just a severe sprained ankle. And we would do x-rays almost every single time we would do x-rays. We ended up with at least 2 casts. We probably had around 20 different devices put on her to try to make this better. Right when we were diagnosed, I was researching and learning about the intracranial bleeds and the gastrointestinal issues that could happen. And to me, that was a very severe issue that thankfully we hadn't had yet with Hazel, but it was definitely not something I would ever like to experience. We knew that she needs to be protected. Prophylactic therapy was definitely something that came into play early on with her diagnosis. So she's been on Coagadex for almost a year now, and we have had no symptoms, which is amazing. Before that, we were having symptoms at least once a month, ongoing. We know that it is something that is critical for Hazel. I think it's so important to tell the story. I have met other families, other moms, parents, kids who do have factor 10 deficiency. Coagadex has an amazing rate at keeping these patients safe from bleeds and, severe bleeds that might happen. As a mom with a child with a bleeding disorder, knowing that she's protected now has been so reassuring and comforting to us. I can send her to school, I can send her to summer camp, and she can be just like the other kids and run and play, and we just don't have to worry nearly as much as we used to.